This is FCTV, fan-controlled television.
Maybe. Hold on.
This is FCTV, fan-controlled television. Programs created and produced for the fans, by the fans of fan-controlled sports and entertainment. As always, power to the fans. And now, it's time for the show.
Hang on. Let me get this thing off.
That's what she said.
Hey-oh, here we go. Hide it, and hopefully.
Hey, all right, we did it. We're here. Holy God!
Let me add this too.
Look at this. Look at us. Look at the we that we are.
Oh my goodness! Wow, that was every week is just a harrowing thing. We thought we were going to have a show last week, and then somebody got COVID.
How you feeling?
I'm switching us up here. We should be. Are you on the other side? There we go.
Yeah, now we're over our own heads.
Good. I'm good. I'm very fortunate that it was a mild case. And there was a lot of people who were not a lot of people, but there were people who were exposed at the same thing, and nobody else got it except me. So, we know how that very, very fortunate that it wasn't a big deal, but whatever. It is a big deal. This friggin' show, baby.
You got it, man. We are the biggest deal of big deals here on this here big broadcast.
On the biggest of big broadcasts, I have to tell you, I love you in your Hawaiian shirt. I'm still getting used to your shorter hair. You're at like a palace, it seems like.
Yeah, this is my home palace. This is where I live, man. This is the hearth of the home.
I love the home palace as opposed to the other palaces you have.
The turd palace.
Yes, exactly that. Welcome to Fan Control Fandom. We did it.
We have done it.
3 full minutes in, and we're welcoming you to the show. This is a show we have aptly titled this week, Locally. We can talk about Loki, because we're going to talk about Loki because we talk about all things in the cape space. If your people are wearing capes, we're going to talk about it. Loki used to wear a cape, not so much anymore, but
he just has a longish coat.
Now his fits are spectacular. I got to say, the thin ties, the little coats, here for it. It's 100%. The best palace in his low-key local area. Well done, Freddie Airmail. This is going to be a very pun-filled show. Yeah, so cape space. If your character flies in a cape, if your character fights dragon in a cape, if your character drives around a spaceship in cape, you know what? It's, the brain is barely working. It's fine. We're going to talk about it. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, we're just getting warmed up to talk about our favorite thing. Once we get talking about this stuff, Kenny's going to be spinning like a top.
Like a top. I do want to, before we get in, I want to say a big announcement in the world of fan-controlled sports and entertainment. Of course, there's the update to your app on the phone. Next weekend, fan-controlled racing is going to be premiering November 4th at the NASCAR race in Phoenix. I believe if you've already been voting, I believe they've already named we voted on who was going to be driving the car. We were going to be voting on, there's going to be an actual fan's picture on the car. So it's pretty good, awesome stuff. So make sure you download the app, get in there and get involved. I've never watched a NASCAR race, but if you fan control it, I'm in.
I am a fan of auto racing, of course, famously on the big broadcast here, but typically my fandom is constrained to the open wheel series of racing. Your Formula Series, your IndyCar, the like. But for the brand, for the big brand, I will absolutely be tuning in.
Let's go. We got some more puns from Freddie Airmail. Coat is a little more low-key in terms of Loki's outfit. Fantastic. What if my spaceship has a cape? We'll talk about it. We'll talk about your space. If your spaceship has a cape, my first question is, that thing is not going to last very long.
No, it's going to burn up.
The thing is going to blow right off.
Unless that's Cape Canaveral.
Hey, that's true. You know what else is true? Quick hits, baby. We got to get those quick pieces of nerd news. We got to play the stinger live. Here it comes.
Quick hits. Absolutely.
It takes on my end, it takes a good 3 seconds for it to start playing in my ears because of the delay that I have. And so there was this brief space where you weren't talking and you could hear it, and all I could hear was a baby crying. So, hey, welcome.
What if that was what you heard every time you played the stinger?
Was just a baby crying
again?
A baby, damn it! Another baby cry. We are into the hundreds of the days of the SAG-AFTRA strike. So yet again, stuff is not really getting into production. We're at the table this week. We'll see. They're quote unquote optimistic. I'll believe it when I see it. So, we're still kind of operating under the auspices of nothing's really in production yet. There are things that are writing, and there are things that are definitely not happening, which we're going to talk about. But first and foremost, Alex, did you watch, we talked about this on the last show, did you watch the color version of Werewolf by Night?
I have not yet. I'm going to wait a little closer to Big Ghost Night to do it.
Well, then I put it on the show list. Let's not talk about it until next week. I will tell you, I have watched it, and this is something that we both enjoyed. The black and white version was something that we both enjoyed, and I'll tell you what, they put it in color. Guess what? It's still good.
Oh, all right.
Still good.
I will be checking it out.
It's fun. They definitely, whereas if you are I'm not a big horror guy. Let's get that extra R in there.
Yeah,
I'm not a big
syllables. It's a 2-syllable word.
I would say I do like horror movies. I tend to be more of the traditional. I love 80s, 70s, 60s stuff. I don't love the just how gruesomely can we murder people types of horror movies. Although I do like the most recent Scream movies have been really fun. Anyway, with the black and white version, they were clearly doing one kind of thing. The color movie, they are definitely pushing more of 60s, 70s kind of Hammer movie. If you know who the Hammer was, a studio out of England that made a bunch of scary movies. It's great. Highly recommend it. Watch it. We'll move on to the next piece of news, which guess what? We got some Aquaman news.
Good. Can't get enough of it.
Aquaman, this is something I just read. This just happened today. So I have some other news. We're going to talk about Aquaman 2, but Aquaman 2 has just moved its release date. The James Wan directed superhero sequel is moving to a new release date, with the film opening on Friday, December 22nd instead of Wednesday. This is not news. This is one of these deals where I click on it because I'm like, ooh, it dropped. I'm just going to click on the headline real quick and we'll talk about it. And then it's not news. Moving it 2 days is not spoiler alert. I thought they were moving it until next year or something. That's not news.
Given what we know about this production so far, it wouldn't be unexpected to move to 2026 or whatever.
100%. Well, here we go. This is the other news that I have. James Wan, the director of Aquaman 1 and 2, he explains why Ben Affleck's Batman won't appear in the movie. We have talked about it. We've talked about it on the podcast before, and you've explained it. You've detailed it that originally he was not in the movie. Originally, Michael Keaton was in the movie. They then scrapped that and then famously shot some stuff with Ben Affleck. I love this person who just says, WTF are these whack jobs on? I'm on life, baby. I'm high on life.
I'm on a proton pump inhibitor that helps to not only control my acid reflux, but to heal some of the esophageal damage done by rampant stomach acid.
What do you want, pantoprazole? Because I'm on that too, baby. I'm
on Protonics, baby.
Oh, I'm on pantoprazole every day. Stay tuned for more of reflux talk.
This is what you wrought by disrailing us. You brought
you did
acid reflux talk.
You did this.
It's your fault.
So lean and mean, baby. So then Affleck was famously coming back. They posted to Instagram a video of Jason Momoa knocking on the door and Affleck coming out and being here he is. And then all of a sudden, psych, he's no longer in the movie anymore. So they've shot two different stuff with two different Batmans. James Wan said recently when speaking to Empire said that he was asked if Ben Affleck's Batman might still make the cut, and he said, probably not. All I'll say is that those scenes were just to have something in the bank in case we needed to explain time continuity if we came out first. What a world we live in, where you can spend millions upon millions of dollars. I can't imagine Affleck's like fee isn't like at least $10 million to do like a day's worth of shooting. To shoot it just in case, like that's, come on, bro. That is like you're just lying. There's no way that's what's actually happened.
No, that was not it's not a nice to have, this is clearly like, notes from different regimes as, executives shift, as teams shift around, that there's clearly like a mandate that he's been trying to fulfill this whole time. And, I think it's unfortunate,
It's insane, especially like if it was actual Batman stuff, like not Bruce Wayne. If he was like a Bruce Wayne thing, okay, maybe it's not like that wild to have, Ben Affleck come for the day. But if you had him get all up in the suit and get all sweaty in that thing, I'd be a little PO'd. Little PO'd.
Same here, as much as the dream come true of getting to play like Batman, I'm sure like week 3, you're like, get me out of this.
Week
GD
3
suit.
I would feel like after day 1, you'd like, okay, we're just gonna do some light running, okay, and we can have your stunt double come in, but we got to get you a couple close-ups, and you're just like, okay, yeah, sure. And then like take 3, you're like, is it just this hot? Like, is that is that how this kind of is this how it is at like all times? Oh yeah.
Yeah, if they peel the thing off at the end of the day and your nipples go with it, and
that's why Schumacher had to put him on the suit.
Yeah, exactly.
All good. So great. You know what else is great? This is something that Aquaman 2, we've said it on this podcast many times. Just like quietly release it and let's move on. That's all. We don't need to like announce that we're moving it 2 days closer to Christmas so we can give, people coal in their stockings. Let's just release it on, Max and just wash our hands with it.
We got to Harry and the Hendersons this thing. Drive it up to the forest, push it out of the car, throw a couple rocks at it. Go on, get out of here. Beat it. We don't want you anymore.
Amazing reference. That's one of those movies at HBO when they only had like 6 movies to show in the late 80s. That's one of the movies. I've seen Harry and the Hendersons probably 70 times.
You remember the TV show?
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely. Who was it? It wasn't like Howard Hessman instead of the John Lithgow, because you can't get John Lithgow to do a TV show.
No.
But you could about 5 years later, Third Rock from the Sun.
Yeah, but that crucially, the difference being the Harry and the Henderson show, I believe, was syndicated. So lower money, it was 100% lower prestige. Yeah. Third Rock from the Sun, they're like, we got Jane Curtin.
They got that NBC money, baby.
Yeah.
That NBC Universal money. Here's a franchise that I admittedly love, and I might be the only person in the world who loves these. The person who wrote all of these movies is a world-renowned garbage person, and that's, of course, I'm absolutely blanking on her name. Like,
it's the woman just who wrote, kidding, Rowling.
J.K. I kept on wanting to say J.R.R. Tolkien, but I know it's not that.
J.R.R. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling, who, again, full-blown garbage person, but she wrote the scripts for these movies, the Fantastic Beasts movies. I do not know why. I know in every capacity these movies should not be working. I love them. I just absolutely love these.
Because you like Jude Law.
I do love the Jude Law. And the Jude Law, and they recast Johnny Depp as Mads Mikkelsen in the most recent one, Fantastic Beasts, and what was the most recent one? Secrets of Dumbledore.
And how to get slapped up by him in the guts.
Yep, exactly. That's the full title. I don't know why I really enjoyed the movies. David Yates, not to be confused with our good friend Dan Yates. David Yates, who directed.
Turns out they're separate people with different names.
Yes. He directed the last 4 Harry Potter movies, and then directed all of the Fantastic Beasts movies. He is out promoting his first non-magic related film called Painkillers that he directed for Netflix, starring Emily Blunt and the Chris Evans, Captain America himself.
Oh.
He's out talking about, doing the junkets because, the stars can't do them. So he's out doing the junkets because the movie comes out on Netflix today. And he specifically said, we are all so proud of Fantastic Beasts. And when it went out in the world, we needed to sort of stop and pause and take it easy. So he is officially saying that there is a pause in these movies. Would it have something to do with the fact that The Secrets of Dumbledore made half as much money globally as the first one did? I don't know, probably. But does it have something to do with the fact that J.K. Rowling is a full-blown garbage individual? Also, possibly as well. Maybe could be a little bit as well.
I think the more they can distance the IP from her, the better. And I think it's, and they clearly want to. They need to pull stuff out of Harry Potter.
This is $1 billion baby. They gotta get that. They gotta pull that money from that thing.
I think that part of why these aren't working and what I saw some conversation online around this, that they had this like Fantastic Beasts sort of, because there was that Fantastic Beasts book about all the magical creatures or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's just like, this is an animal, this is what it does. It's not, there's no narrative to it.
Right. But so they, instead of just letting that series develop, they also wedged Dumbledore versus the other guy into that
Grindelwald.
That should have been, these people were positing, that should have been its own story. That should have been its own kind of through line of movies or whatever. And I think that because these are coming out in the pre HBO Max world where like the lines with the IP are a little more fluid or whatever, I think that's why they felt like they had to load this franchise with so much stuff, especially in the second one. And like, if that movie was more successful, I imagine they couldn't be stopped from making a new one.
Well, of course. And it was originally announced from the first one is that they were going to make 5 of them, which Yates in that same interview somehow was like, oh, I had no idea we were going to make 5 of them. Like, come on, bro. Like, just like, you don't read anything. You really you make your movie and you don't read it. There's like been hundreds of articles like every time, like, oh, it's the second of the 5th films. Like, and you're right. The second one, they did load up with a bunch of stuff because I felt like, I don't know. I don't know what their goal was with these films. I do think you're right with the HBO Max of it all. A lot of these would have worked really well as like a limited series or something because the world is rad. I think that's kind of why I really like these. Something about like 1920s, early 30s, like magic, but like taking the things that we know and putting it in like another. We go to France, we go to America, like just seeing different things that use this kind of Harry Potter stuff that we know. Maybe that's just why I like it. I don't know. I just like it.
I think it's easier also sometimes to connect with what's going on because you're following adults. It's not a movie series about children.
Kids. This is true. If you know me and you know me well, I truly, truly hate children. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. I have one. I have a kid.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they can both be true, though.
This is true. I always say that I like parenting my child, but I don't necessarily love parenting.
Yeah. I always tell everybody, I like your kid, but not kids.
Hey, I get it. I very much get it. Somebody who definitely gets it, or is at least getting it in terms of work, is Sean Levy. See that transition? Wow, Sean Levy, of course.
Everybody, big ups to Kenny for that mad transition. That was insane.
You're welcome.
That's why this is the big broadcast.
If you know Sean Levy is basically Ryan Reynolds' director. He is currently directing, waiting for this strike to end so he can finish Deadpool 3. He directed The Atom Project. He directed Free Guy. Directed a bunch of stuff. He is. I will get to the next project he's tagged, which I did not know. But this news just broke in an interview. He was talking about Deadpool 3. And I think it's, goes without saying that Deadpool 3 is going to have a lot of cameos because we are bringing Deadpool into the MCU. There's going to be just all kinds of stuff going on. And he was talking about how easy it was to get people. He said, yeah, what blew my mind is how easy some of these cameos have been. People love Deadpool. People love Ryan. Thankfully, people also seem to like my work. They know that Ryan and I are in a groove of creative brotherhood that is unique and seems to be working. So the proliferation of casting rumors around my movie, because there's so many, that's impossible to know what's real and what's made up. So, I mean, I think by saying that, default is there's going to be a lot of cameos in this movie.
Taylor Swift is going to be in it.
And Kelsey. I heard that Travis Kelsey is going to like take a head off Hugh Jackman, slam it down onto the ground, say touchdown, and then we're going to cut away to Taylor Swift, who's in a box going like, yay, giving a high five to what's his face? Kyler Murray's wife.
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes, whatever. You know, I don't.
If they're not playing football in Canada, Kenny doesn't know about it.
If they're not playing in Canada, or if I can't vote on it on my app, I don't care. I actually did watch some of that game. I did watch some of the Chiefs Chargers game. I should know better, but I also shouldn't. So who cares?
Right.
I don't know. Deadpool 3. We're excited for it. I mean, just off the top of your head, what's like the craziest cameo you could think would be in Deadpool 3?
I mean, already Jennifer Garner being Elektra again in this thing is pretty wild. That's
well,
like,
if you're gonna go that far, let's just say Ben Affleck's gonna be Daredevil. Why not?
I mean, she is going. She's been cast. She's going to be in the movie.
I know she's gonna be in the movie. Why not just say that Ben Affleck's gonna be in it too? I just feel like if you're in a Fox Marvel movie, let's just assume you're in Deadpool 3
because you can. But that like for the first time, I am excited about it. Although I was excited about Deadpool 2, not because of the character, because the character to me is kind of meh, but especially with Deadpool 2 introducing so many comic book characters, Cable, Shatterstar, like all these, like, you know, when they make these big swings and
Domino.
have a bunch of different, yeah, exactly. Like I love that portrayal of Domino, but
yeah, I love Zazie Beetz. She's great.
They've got this like wackadoodle meta thing that they're trying to do. Like we're gonna see a whole bunch of Guga. It's gonna be a lot of fun, I think.
We love our Guga. I was like, I'll see Deadpool 2 because I liked, you know, again, some of the people they were bringing on. But then when they showed Rob Delaney just basically playing Rob Delaney, I was like, yep, here's 100%. My money.
Yeah.
Take my money. Thank you very much. I bring up Sean Levy because he also apparently is making a Star Wars movie. That was something he talked about as well. This is something that I don't know if it's been formally announced. I don't know, but he said when Kathleen Kennedy brought me on to make a Star Wars movie, her central mandate to me was, I want a Sean Levy. I don't know if it's Levy or Levy, but whatever. Let's say it's Levy. I want a story and a tone that reflects you and your tastes and what you bring to your movies with a Star Wars story. So that's apparently it was put on hold a lot because of the writer's strike, but he can now start working on it. But I guess we can assume that Ryan Reynolds is going to be in a Star Wars movie.
I love it. I'm into it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Is Ryan Reynolds playing a Force user, or is he like a Sith? What's the ideal place to see? How you're moving Ryan Reynolds on the Star Wars chessboard? What's he doing?
2 Gungans, a girl, and a pod race.
Love it. Just a sitcom.
Yeah, that's all they're doing. Jenna Ellis stars.
I'll take you something even. I'll get real wild.
Jenna Ellis. What am I saying? Jenna Elfman. Jesus.
Elfman. Jenna Elfman. Why not just why don't you just cast him as Kanan Jarrus? Done. I know Freddie Prinze should play him in live action, but I mean, can you imagine Kanan Jarrus like turning to Ezra and being like, "Hey, look, it's my Padawan who I can't do the like Deadpool level language on Twitch anymore."
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you can't say, my Padawan, your head looks like a, and then fill in the blank with all sorts of profanities, you know?
Yes, fill in the blanks with profanity.
Imagine something that like something edgy that was like kind of gross, like, you know?
Yeah, exactly that. I got one more piece of news that is not really news in the Cape space, but I just read this and was like, let's give at least 3 minutes to this. Apparently, Jean-Claude Van Damme, I love me some JCVD.
The original Predator.
He was the original Predator. Thank you. So yes, that we are in the Cape space because Predator, I feel like, is definitely Cape space. It's flying a ship. It's all kinds of stuff. And it wears a cape in some of the iterations of it.
Ultimately played by the same guy who played Harry and the Hendersons. Sorry.
Bang. Jean-Claude Van Damme says that Steven Seagal once passed on a $20 million payday to fight him. Action icon Jean-Claude Van Damme said Steven Seagal once refused to fight him in Las Vegas with $20 million on the line. They were having an idea to have a fight between me and Steven at the Mirage. $20 million each. He didn't take the fight. I mean, that is money well spent as far as I'm concerned. I'd love to see him. I'd pay $20 million to watch him fight now.
Yeah, I mean, you can see plenty of TikTok videos of him fighting. Like they just send like 25 Russian guys after him single file, and he does these Hapkido flips of them. It's pretty sweet. I think that it would be fun to watch Jean-Claude Van Damme. Watch the expression on his face as he realizes he's brutalizing this man unnecessarily and stops out of like pity for Steven Seagal.
Yeah, no,
I cannot arm you any more than you have armed yourself.
Steven Seagal stopped being physically able to maneuver like gracefully through space 20 years ago. So the idea, he walks around now, like all those videos you see are all Russian propaganda. Like he's always like standing still, and they cut to the wide shot, and it's like another guy with just, they put a ponytail on him doing all the moves. But he walks around as if he's somebody who has like several vertebrae fused together. So I can't imagine a world where like that. Yeah, I feel like JCVD would decimate him. It would it would be brutal.
But yeah, I my hope would be that he would take Steven Seagal's hand and make him hit himself until he promised to stop saying all foreign words in an accent, but not that foreign words accent, a different one that is just an accent. You watch any interview with the guy, he's like, we were up in the Himalaya, and we were doing karate with some of the Sherpa, and like, what do you do?
He used
talk to your hairline.
There used to be a show that was arguably one of my favorite shows ever created. I think it was on AMC or something. I guess for whatever reason, Steven Seagal was like an honorary member of the New Orleans Police Department.
That's right.
And he used to like, I think in the same level that like Shaq was a cop in Miami. Like I do think like he didn't like consistently walk a beat, but then they had him like walking a beat with like a camera and stuff. And every interview, his accent was like as if he was like just got off the shrimping boat and was born and raised in the bayou. He would just be like, you see, we're about to take these people out back and we're about to interview them to find out if any one of them has drugs. I was like, get out of here.
Oh boy, it's a hot one out here. Like,
yeah, basically 100%. And he'd pull people over and be like, hey, get off the drugs. And be like, are you Steven Seagal? I watch all your movies. I was just watching one of your movies last night. And I'm like, don't lie.
Yeah. Or actually, probably if you're probably they were,
probably they were.
He's such a joke. He's such a unfunny. Look up his album Songs from the Crystal Cave.
Oh yes.
Listen absolutely. To the reggae track where he says the word punani, but he says it with that accent that he does for any foreign word. It's very for as a musician, he's a brilliant martial artist.
You know what? And now we just cursed him because his album is going to get the famous fan-controlled fandom bump.
Oh yeah,
everybody, all the fans like storming that album. It's gonna be like, oh man, do I need to put out another album?
Welcome to number one town, Stevie.
I got a bump in sales. We did it. Quick hits, done, bang.
I'm adjusting my stage picture. I'm doing something else here with my camera angle and my shot because
look at you.
Look at me.
That's fun.
I'm going to open you give me 2 seconds. I'm going to open a window.
I'm going to give
going all out.
Here's what we're doing. This is the time of the show. We're on the Fan Controlled Sports Entertainment Network, Fan Controlled Sports Entertainment Twitch feed. You can listen to the podcast on the Fan Controlled TV podcast feed. We every week give one piece of sports news. I'll give my piece of sports news and just say my favorite sport, the National Basketball Association, tipped off on Tuesday night. The Lakers.
Worse. Everything's worse now.
Lakers.
What I'm trying to fix is now
I know, but let me finish my news now. The Lakers lost their home opener, not their home opener, the season opener to the Denver Nuggets. Kudos to them for getting their rings, but also I don't like you because you beat the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals and you beat the Lakers to kick off the season. However, we got it back last night with a win against the Phoenix Suns, who of course were playing without their two best players, but I don't care. A win is a win. Alex, what's your piece of sports news?
Well, controversy in the paddock last weekend after Sir Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes-Benz driver, and Ferrari driver Charles Leclerc were both disqualified after post-race inspections of their cars revealed that a safety mechanism had been worn down past the allowable boundary. Briefly, every Formula One car is fitted with a plank of resin that runs the entire length of the floor of the car.
Okay.
Some of these are monitored afterwards to see how much wear has taken place on the plank over the course of the race. This is to monitor that the cars are all at a safe ride height for the drivers. So since both the Ferrari car driven by Leclerc and the Mercedes car driven by Sir Lewis Hamilton were both found to have been at a too low a ride height over this very rough course. Both men were taken out of contention from 2nd and 6th place respectively, which bumped my guy, Lando Norris, up to 2nd place. This is his 4th podium in a row. This was all good news for the McLaren team, who seems ascendant and well on their way to surpassing early season favorites Aston Martin to be the kings of the midfield. Kenny, back to you.
Oh man, that is a lot of words strung together in ways that I do not understand, but for open wheel racing lovers, I'm sure they understood everything you said perfectly.
None of it meant anything. It's all nothing.
I'll tell you what means a lot is the work that you do every week to bring us amazing corporate underwriting, amazing sponsors to our show. I'm really excited to hear who our corporate sponsor is for the show this week.
Well, it's going to do both your wallet and your heart some good, because this week's corporate underwriter, Sandy's Pet Rescue, far too many rescue agencies focus on just cats or dogs or even specific breeds within those two classes. Here at Sandy's Pet Rescue, we help every kind of animal find a forever home. So they just wanted to showcase some of the animals that are available for adoption right now. First up is Flip. He's a calico cat. He's missing an eye, but he's very sweet and he loves kids.
Nice.
Next is Abigail. She's a gecko. She's about 2 years old and she loves to eat freeze-dried grubs.
Okay.
And third is Roger Wilson. He's a former cell phone salesman. He's a Pisces and he gets along really well with dogs and cats. Warning, Roger Wilson is not housebroken. So those are some of the animals you can rescue from Sandy's Pet Rescue, where every animal can find a forever home.
And so Roger Wilson is a person, is a human, because humans are animals.
Humans are a kind of animal, and he's just looking for a forever home rescue.
He's just looking for. I love a calico cat. You know what I love more than a calico cat? A jellicle cat.
Oh, jellicle cats are jellicle cats when they're cats, and they're jellicle cats.
That's the song from Cats. Jellicle songs for jellicle cats, jellicle songs for jellicle. I don't want to. I will go. We will end up talking about cats for the whole rest of this show. I will just say I will say a real quick story, and then we'll get into talking about Loki episode 4. Because locally we can talk about Loki. Can't talk about Bruno. We can talk about Loki. We have season tickets to the Pantages. They had one season where it was a bunch of revivals. Recently, they brought back Cats on Broadway back in like 2017, and they were like advertising it as this is the show from the 80s. They made like no updates. It was just the show. And I guess my wife had seen it several times growing up, had the album, knew all the songs. We start watching this show. It's exactly, synth explosion and cats are like running down the aisles, and it's just like jellicle cats. And we're watching the show. About 30 minutes in, I just turned to my wife and I go, wait, so is this show just like a cat? Like, here's this cat, and then we sing about that cat, and then we sing about another cat? And she's like, yes, it's just cats. That's all it is. And I'm like, amazing. That's why I was so floored when the movie came out. People were like, this has no plot. I'm like, yes, so does the Broadway show.
I will to piggyback on that very quickly. There's a famous interview with, I think it's Hal Prince. And
famous Broadway legend Hal Prince.
He's saying how the first time he talked to Andrew Lloyd Webber about Cats, he'd seen it, he'd seen a workshop of it or something while they were putting it together, and he's really trying to draw the meaning out of it. He was like, "Is this a Proust thing? Are you talking about the nature, the divination of?" He was all this philosophical stuff, and he comes to Andrew Lloyd Webber with it and is trying to say, "So were you trying to make this comment or that comment?" And he says, Andrew Lloyd Webber looked at me and said, "Hal, it's just cats," and we never talked about it again.
It is.
But yeah, it just is. And
it is just cats. Like another cat comes in and they sing to old Deuteronomy and then he's done. And then we sing to another cat and then we sing to another cat. And then we're a little scared about this other cat who's Idris Elba. And then we talk about that cat and that's it. And it's just amazing. I love that show.
Idris Elba should have played Grisabelda.
Yeah. Oh my God. Memories. He would have killed that. Anyway, let's talk about Loki.
Let's do it.
Loki. Episode 4. Here we go. I'm going to give you the week. I came prepped. I have all my tabs open on my computer. Here's the Wikipedia recap. Thanks to the good people at Wikipedia, so we know that this is 100% true and factual. Episode 4, titled Heart of the TVA, written by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead. They will have written the next 3 episodes. Directed by Eric Martin and Catherine Blair. Miss Minutes reveals that Renslayer was once He Who Remains' partner and commander of his army before He Who Remains ordered her memories erased along with everyone else's. As the temporal loom reaches catastrophic failure, Loki and his allies attempt to use Victor Timely and OB's throughput multiplier to fix it. But Renslayer, Miss Minutes, and Wolf attempt to thwart them to take the TVA for themselves, kidnapping Timely, pruning D90, and killing Dox and her men when they refuse to join them. In the midst of the conflict, Loki encounters his time-slipping self and prunes him. Obi deactivates Miss Minutes, and the dampener is preventing Sylvie from using her magic, enabling Sylvie to enchant Wolf, who prunes Renslayer. Obi deactivates Miss Minutes. I did not put that together. Okay. Timely is able to unlock the temporal loom, but the temporal radiation disintegrates him. It does not disintegrate him. He turns into frickin' spaghetti. Before he can launch the throughput multiplier, the temporal loom explodes, and everyone is engulfed in the blast wave as it spreads throughout the TVA. Alex, what'd you think of the episode?
I had such a great time. This show is so much fun. And, I think it's a shining example of like the original Marvel mandate, which is, let's give you gourmet cotton candy. It's hoo-ha, it's a dessert, but we're going to make sure that every piece of it is, without pulling from that escapist dessert thing we want, that every single aspect of it will be as top notch as we can make it and still fit with the tone of what we're doing. Like, it struck me that I'm watching my comic books now. I haven't been a single issue buyer for quite a while, but I'm keeping up with my continuity. Here I am watching Sylvie and like these new characters that I like and stuff. And I think it's so good. I mean, the one thing is it's a little ticky-tacky and dense sometimes. But I can appreciate that. In a way, it's the kind of thing that makes me want to watch it again, and I've rewatched all of the initial 3 episodes so far. I haven't rewatched 4 yet.
It just came out last night. I mean, I would be amazed if you'd watched it twice. It's an hour long. It's an hour long episode of television.
Kenny, I'm making time over here, baby. I don't know what to do with myself, but no,
I'm not.
I don't know what that means.
I have no free time.
Well, you're an actual person.
Hey.
I'm such a big fan of what they've been doing here. And once again, I think we've commented as well that it continues to be a very bright spot amidst some wavery sort of material of late from the MCU. Stuff we liked, but stuff that was like clearly still sort of coming out of the mud of COVID and team changes and refreshers or whatever. And I think this is like a nice breathable moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I like this episode a lot too. I have some questions here and there, but and I have some ideas as to where I think this might be going as to why this episode played out the way it did. But as just like an overall feeling about the episode, I thought it was a lot of fun. I always feel like when we're in the TVA, I just feel like we're in good hands. Like whenever stuff is happening in the TVA, I feel like it's always working because it's always has to be these really contained things. Like, the show, anytime the show literally, when it tried to venture out of the TVA, it killed someone. So like it's anytime we're in that space, it's kind of forcing us to just deal with either character or immediate plot. And I feel like that's a better formula for this format. We talked about why this works so well is because it is a TV show. Like I think we always keep pushing back to Secret Invasion because it was just the thing we got before. And I think we liked it. But when you look at it comparatively to this, and you're trying to do something on like that show had an episode of like an attack on a president they tried to kill the president, Dermot Mulroney. And it was just like a string of like 12 cars in like an open field. And I don't know if that's a COVID thing or a choice or whatever, but it's like that when you're out in space, I don't know, when you compare it to just like the literal all of time is collapsing, but we're in these little fun, goofy 60s looking offices, it somehow feels more urgent. You know what I mean?
Well, and two, it's so much more of a world.
Yes.
It's so much more lush. And, Loki is TV that feels like a movie, and Secret Invasion was TV that felt like mobisodes. And the wires. Look, I don't fool myself that Loki has no executive interference or whatever.
Of course.
If there's the same amount of BS that they've had to put up with doing Loki that they did with Secret Invasion, they're hiding it way better. Because the wires were just bad choices all around. I think there's a lushness to how they shoot Loki and those environments that they art direct that you couldn't ever achieve in Secret Invasion, just because of your setting. And that's not a fault of the story, I guess. But even when they had moments where they could have injected some visual awe, they really fell short. And Loki just isn't that.
Yes.
I think it's a big lesson for them.
You can tell that time and effort went into everything. Like, whether or not things work is subjective, but like, even like, I mean, good Lord, that scene, I wrote in the notes, like, if you loved death, then this is the episode for you. There was a lot of people died in this episode. Well, I'm going to put it in quotes because I have a theory. Died. But, we don't even need to see this thing. Boop, 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 boop.
What are you doing over there?
Come to the Twitch stream to watch me struggle with my windsock. I believe that's what this is called. Anyway.
That's what they used to call me in high school, the windsock.
That's what you are. When you got in the pool, baby, you swam. Oof. Are we good?
Live wire, baby. You all right?
Live wire. Yes. But, there's so much attention put to every single thing. Like, we have no idea how this weird thing that you pull on and it's got a gas engine, but yet it somehow collapses you into a tiny box. We saw that in the interrogation of Wolf, and we didn't see it, but everybody of Dox's people all got crushed by that thing. But making that choice, we have that, the room, the lighting, that like, that like every single piece of that, the costumes, everything in that whole scene was meticulously thought out, was done. There's an intentionality to everything. Like, again, whether it works or not, that's up to the viewer, but they're putting a definite, like, there is a definite fingerprint that is there. And I think, in terms of directors, like, this is a show that you can walk in on. And when you're directing a episode of television and you're not the creator of the show, you're kind of given like guidelines, is like, this is how the general look of the show is. This is kind of like shooting styles that we tend to go for. This is how we like to shoot this and that. If you can have some creativity here, but we kind of like to keep consistency. And like that show, you get the like book of the lookbook of how we're supposed to do this. And you're like, oh, okay, great. You've got a lot to go on,
Right. It's so visually. And one of the things I love about the TVA, I find the design work they have done to it visually appealing for my own personal aesthetic. And then you go into how layered and detailed they all are. Like, a poster that flashes by in the background for 2.5 seconds that, Eric Voss on New Rockstars has to pause so I can read it. Like,
God bless that man.
Like, somebody designed that. And
yes.
And it wasn't, hey, look at what fun we had. No, this is a vital part of building the reality that they're trying to build. Like the really deepening the sense of irreality that you feel as a viewer.
What a word.
That is so, but it's so tied to a reality that we know. Like the touch points and the reference points are all there, except, you click the camera over a couple of degrees and there's that vista of Quantum City that's endless and inverted and whatever.
Is that what it's called?
Or I think it's Quantum City.
Quantum City. I don't know. I don't know from the comics. I mean, do we know yet if this is the same? Is this the quantum realm we're in the Quantum Mania? We still don't know yet, right?
No, this isn't the quantum realm, but it is something that you did see in Ant-Man.
That thing, but I don't think they've confirmed that. There is that thing that people have, when he's shrinking down into the quantum realm in the first Ant-Man, there's like a little city off to the right. But I thought that was where they were implying that's where Janet was.
I think that it is Kang's time zone. His time palace.
His time palace. Take it back to the beginning. That's called a callback, baby. Here's something. I don't want to call this like a nitpick, but this is something that I am curious about, and that is Sylvie. Her motivation as a character last season was very specific, was very clear. She wanted to blow the whole thing up. She did. Like, there's parts of me, and so I'm not saying that like her motivation this season isn't as clear, but I think it is a little bit muddy from my perspective. I think clearly she enjoys her life and she doesn't want to see her life that she's established on one of these timelines. She doesn't want to see that go away, and she doesn't want to see millions of people die. I get that. However, she did murder He Who Remains. So she is ultimately responsible for this. So that's something that I don't think anyone is addressed yet. And I think they kind of did in the episode where they went to her and talked to her how she was responsible for that. But I don't know. There's something where I love the scene between the two of them, and you put a scene in a pie room, baby, it works. You know what I mean?
Right.
That scene works really well. And I do think there's something I needed to know a little bit more about what's pushing her from scene to scene. You know what I mean?
There is I think it's part of a general sort of, and I think that's it's on purpose. A sort of a cockeyed approach to the antagonist protagonist relationship, a cockeyed approach to, like, you have several instances where, the enemy becomes the ally. Two enemies find each other, don't immediately begin fighting.
Well, Loki was a villain who's now a good guy, basically.
Right. And so I think that, it's, yeah. And I personally, I like that. I like, cause it's, not every
you love that ambiguity,
in the real world.
Baby.
Yeah, I do. And not every conflict in the real world results in, people punching each other in the face.
God, though, it should though, shouldn't it?
I think, yeah, it would just
so
be
much easier.
So much easier.
Hey, I need those reports. Well, you know what? I didn't have time to finish them. Pop.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Note taken. Thank you.
Need a big steak for your eye now. But I think too, we get to see that in Timely. We know that he's a variant of the He Who Remains. He has the potential. We've seen in him for villainy, but he goes out a hero in a very unexpected
question mark. I still have an idea about that, but yeah, no.
Does he? Okay, yeah, same. Let's go. Let's
talk about this just a little bit longer. I do think last night felt like a season finale almost. Where we were.
Absolutely.
Like the fact that this was like a cliffhanger sort of thing. But I mean, I guess we'll just talk about what my theory was right now. There's still 2 more episodes left. So, even though it felt like a finale type of thing, I think what we are going to get, like, because everybody died, like Renslayer, they took so many people off the table last night. They took Renslayer off the table. Like, her coup ended very quickly. Like,
yes,
it was there and then it was gone.
Miss Minutes is dead.
Miss Minutes is powered down. All of Dox's people are dead. Victor Timely is dead, which, sidebar real quick, I'll keep going here. I texted you this last week. What did you think about Jonathan Majors' performance in last week's episode as Victor Timely?
I thought last week was okay. This week was a little much, and I think
really? I'll flip flop it.
I think it's the same problem I kind of have with Ezra Miller's portrayal of awkward geek, like when people aren't actually really like that and try to push too far into it. It just really, it's not even that it doesn't connect with me. It really turns me off. And there was way too much of that for me in
I thought that the last week. I mean, I appreciate the fact. I mean, clearly this guy, whether or not he keeps playing this role or not, which we're gonna get more into that next month when he goes on trial. But I shouldn't go that he literally is. But they've already shot this stuff. So, but he clearly is trying to, he's going to be playing a lot of different people. So he's got to try to differentiate them as much as possible. So I appreciate the fact that he is like trying. I thought last week he was doing the two almost to the point where I was like, spit it out, man. I'm
right
doing the like, well, not even like a stutter, just like because I used to be a stutterer, so I very sympathize with stuttering. But there was a lot of just pausing, and I was like, oh man, like just spit it out. I thought he was better this week.
I have a problem when people try to portray a stutter. Because
don't get me started.
When it's
as a former stutterer, I very much hate that.
Well, and like I feel like it's, when you hear somebody dealing with an actual stutter, it is a different thing. Like when the person trying to imitate it does it, it feels almost like mockery, regardless of how they do it.
There's no graceful way to do it, and to me, as a former stutterer, it manifests itself. We think stuttering, we think, and that is possible too. But also, it's blurring words together or not being able to get your mouth to like move, like put words together. That's why Joe Biden, who famously overcame a stutter, sometimes uses the wrong word. And oftentimes that's seen as as trying to show some sort of like senility, but I know what that's like. It's sometimes you're trying to say something and your mouth and your brain just aren't letting you do it. So you got to come up with something else.
But anyway, actors tend to only just do the one kind of verbal thing. And you can impart a person's awkwardness or whatever that is without delving into a thing that is real.
It's gotta be grounded.
And a condition,
it's got to be grounded. And so I thought he was better this week. Anyway, so he's off the table too. All these people have died, and the bloom is exploded. I feel like, and we went in on his eyes. So I feel like we're gonna do some sort of thing where I don't think anybody actually died. I think because the loom is exploded, I think people are going to be either on separate timelines or existing in space somewhere, like existing on a timeline. Because we have all these scenes from the trailer of Loki time jumping, like out in the world, not just in the TVA. And I can't imagine for a trailer they would use that effect and spend money to to grind those formerly non-union VFX people to the bone to make that. So I'm anticipating some sort of like, maybe Loki's jumping around and, so there's going to be, I don't think everybody who died this week and who went away is gone. That's all. No,
nobody's dead. Although we've talked about this before, that, knowing in the real world what people's contracts are like, or sort of knowing how narratives tend to work, can sometimes spoil a character's death on screen, because you're like, well, I know they're coming back for the sequel, or I know they can't die in episode 3 or whatever. There was so much tension that they built up in this episode that I could kind of ignore that for a little bit. I know they just killed Renslayer. I do have a wackadoodle theory. I just came into my head.
I want to hear it. I just want to say one thing real quick. Yeah, to me, it was like looking back on it, I was like, well, yeah, that all happened very conveniently. And so that's why I'm going to dub next week's episode should be titled, well, actually. All right, go ahead. What's your
mansplain the episode?
Oh my God.
I think when I was watching this, this week's episode, and Kang goes out into the temporal radiation, and
Victor Timely, he is not Kang,
immediately dissolved, spaghettified.
That was wholly shocking. I was not anticipating in the slightest.
But part of me leading up to it, because I know he does have that kind of villain thread in him, I was like, what if this is how Kang gets his powers? Because we've seen Kang before with like abilities, not just like I have an Iron Man suit, but like something inside of him. And I thought to myself, oh, what if he jumping out into the time stream with this machine? It's like, oh, I've imbued myself with these powers. But then thinking more about it,
Kang gets into every timeline. This is how it starts.
This is how the variants. This is how you split him into an infinite number of pieces, and his temporal aura.
He did was like, it has to be me. It has to be me to go down there.
And so
that's not a wackadoodle theory, baby.
They've done all of these circle closings, all of these grandfather paradox things, all of these. Actually, the whole thing is set into motion by Renslayer putting that book in the room or whatever that either he knows or inadvertently does this thing that is actually the inciting incident. So now you have infinite variant Kangs who have powers because they've been injected literally directly into the time stream.
I like this. I think that's a very, very good theory. I don't ever want to write the show. They say that a lot on the Ringerverse, is like, don't write the show. The show is the show. But positing theories is totally fine. I think that's could very well be what's happening. Although also it could also not happen at all.
It's Sinestro.
It's Mephisto.
Oh, Mephisto. Yeah, that's who I meant. Dang.
I'm
rusty. I am so.
We took a week off. It's my fault. I blame COVID.
I blame COVID too, not you, but COVID, the terrible, terrible disease.
It is a terrible disease. I wrote this in the show notes, and then as I was reading that recap, I forgot about the scene in which Loki prunes himself, because I wrote, what do we think Loki's arc of the season is so far, and is this no longer his show? I do think that's a valid question. The first one. But the second one, but the first one, I do think like that him realizing that when he saw him realizing what was going on and where he was, and that he had to prune himself in order to, that was basically him like being all in. Like that was his thing. And like, this is what I am doing. I am committed to saving the TVA for whatever reason. This is what I'm doing. And that's what his motivation is now. And it solved it for me because I forgot about that scene.
It's nice. I mean, we talked last episode about, his overall arc, not just in this series, but, since Thor in 2009 or whatever.
Yeah.
That continues, that as much as to me, the first season was about Loki figuring out who he is and what he is and, forging his own destiny. This is deepening that so much more. And like, he's made the better choice. He has this power and he goes, well, I've got to use it for something, not just for me, because there's value in that. And by the way, he finds that lesson again. We already saw him do it once. This is a different variant than the one who sacrifices himself, fighting alongside Thor. He finds his path to the light again.
They found a way to kind of show that there is something within, within this character, there's something in him that will lead him back to ultimately fight along the side of good. And, like how he ends up in Ragnarok, going all the way back to the Rainbow Bridge to take on his sister with his brother. That's the plot of that movie.
Look, if he's the trickster guy, plays tricks on people, and like literally, if everybody's dead, who do you Mixelplix play tricks on if everybody's gone?
Mixeltrix. But the fact that this isn't that Loki, this is a different Loki. This is Avengers Loki, but that Loki is still capable of a same level of kind of redemptive arc. Is just a testament. They've kind of brought that character to the same place. So if they decide to do a season 3 or wherever how this show ends, they can now plop this Loki into whatever plot line they want to. Although I read somewhere there's a rumor that Thor 5 might actually be happening.
Right. Without Taika Waititi,
which I don't know how I feel about that.
it might be time to give it to somebody else. But I think they can extract what worked from his thing into whatever's to come.
I think you can still keep it. I think you stick to Ragnarok. I don't know. I read a bunch of different stuff. I was gonna maybe put it in the show notes, but it was a lot of like I heard conjecture stuff. But like I do think one thing that is known is that the Thor: Love and Thunder original cut was 4 hours long.
I would like to see that.
And there was a whole other storyline with Thor and Zeus, and it was more of like a father-son type of thing, like Zeus filling like a father role now that Thor's father is gone, and like actually teaches him how to use the lightning bolt. And so that whole thing changed. And so I don't know, but I do think for Thor 5, let's just make Chris Hemsworth and Brett Gelman as Hercules fight it out. I don't care. Let's go.
Goldstein.
What did I say? Gelman? That's a different guy. I know. Goldstein. Brett Gelman, also funny. Put Brett Gelman in the movie too.
I picture Brett Gelman in like the loincloth.
That'd be tough. I wouldn't want to put him through that. Goldstein has done the work to look like Hercules. Roy Kent looks like Hercules. Brett Gelman would have to really hit the gym for that to go down.
Actually,
I don't know. I haven't seen him with his shirt off. Maybe.
I think Gelman hits the gym, and I think Gelman's probably. He's probably got something Herculean going on.
I'm sure he's like. I'm not saying he's like a schlub. I'm sure he's active.
To me, it was more the presence of Brett Gelman as Hercules.
Much different. Yeah, tonally, a lot different.
Guys, what are we doing here on Olympus? Guy, that kind of
he doesn't. His like quick bit in The Other Guys is one of my all-time favorite things ever.
Oh yeah.
He plays Marky Mark's Will Ferrell's ex-girlfriend, whose name is Christineth, which that alone is hysterical.
That's great.
But then they go to Christineth's house to like interview, and Brett Gelman plays her new husband, and it's fantastic. They're like having this interview, and he comes in with Arnold Palmer's, and he goes like, wee wee, Arnold Palmy alert, Arnold Palmy alert. We want some Arnold Palmies. And at one point, like Will Ferrell's off with Christineth, and he turns to Mark Wahlberg, and he's like, a lot of people think that because I'm hairy on my beard that I'm hairy down there, but shaved. And then Mark Wahlberg just goes, hey, like it's really funny. Anyway,
I gotta rewatch that movie.
It's a good one. Or I gotta let somebody know what is happening. We already mentioned the app. We'll mention it again, though. We'll mention it again because
the app is, of course, Instacart, where you can get all of your shopping food,
all your shopping food and your non-shopping food.
Machine. It'll come to you when you.
And it'll drive around. It'll drive around and come get you. We have, of course, been the the Control app. Let's get it. Fan controlled racing happening next week in Phoenix. Alex, is this Star Trek or Star Wars?
This is Star Trek, and delightfully so. I think it really, God, it's just so artfully done where it's artfully done. I keep thinking of that tile mosaic with the triptych of the Time Masters like fighting the Time War that Victor Timely looks up at, and I don't know. I want to stare up at that thing for an hour or two. It's cool.
It is cool. All those Kangs riding surfboards. Look at the one on the far right left. It does look like one of those Kangs is riding a surfboard.
It's a Kang thing, baby.
It's a Kang thing. Yeah, I do think this is Star Trek. The sets look like 60s style. At some point, Kirk could walk in at any given point, at any point in the show. We could just see 1960s William Shatner. And I'll tell you something, Kevin Feige, do it.
Yeah, Kevin.
Who's the big winner of the episode?
I've been thinking about it, and I don't know. I'm going to say the art direction team.
Ooh, good one.
Just far and away winners of the season. I can't remember the last time we've seen something in Marvel that was like this compelling visually in that sense, not necessarily from how it's shot, but what's in the shot and how carefully people have organized every aspect of what's in that frame. Like, yeah, really, 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 really well done, and a joy, and part of the real joy of watching it, I think.
I'm going to agree. I think that's definitely the big winner. I just think there's, as I said earlier, when we're in the TVA, it always is working for some reason. I think that is because the world is so tactile and so specific and so like so tonally specific. It just everything. It adds so much to what they're trying to do with character and plot. It's big winner. Big loser, same week as it is every week. We are the day one boat stand kings, and there we just consistently don't put Sam Wilson's boat in MCU content, and it's frankly disgusting at this point.
I'll say this one caveat, though, that in an episode where, ostensibly everybody that we've been following so far has just been wiped out. Obviously, we've been talking about remains to be seen what comes back next episode. But I think that this is maybe better than us getting Sam Wilson's boat only to see it just kind of callously wiped out for a ha-ha. So I think I will agree with you in the tradition, the oath that we have taken as the day one boat stand kings. Yes, thank you. But I will say that, maybe this is one instance where, a little bit of restraint was the better part of valor.
I'll give you that as just to play devil's advocate, but still, just put the damn boat in the damn thing. Let's go. I want to say
you're a coward,
that.
Kevin. I know you're watching.
I want to say
you're
that.
A coward.
I want to show off another one of these little tickers I put, because we are the day one boat stand kings, but we also have been since the beginning plugging this. Been plugging this. Cast Tamura Morrison as live action Omega. Do it, Kathleen Kennedy. We need to see. Omega is a clone of Jango Fett. Therefore, it should be played by Tamura Morrison. Period. End of story.
He's got the chops for it, Kathleen.
He can do it.
He can do it.
She's watching. She's definitely watching. Let
Kathleen, definitely page me.
Pager. Do we have another ad read from this from the shelter?
It's Sandy's Pet Rescue, and they find homes for forever homes for every animal, and some of the animals that are up for adoption. We have Captain Carlos. He's a gorgeous banded macaw. He's about 30, but that's middle age for a bird of his species.
They live a long time. Birds do.
He loves activities that enrich his intellect. We have Murphy, is a clownfish whose owner had to surrender him. Murphy is gorgeous and loves to sleep in coral. And then we have Brian Kyle. Brian's dreams of becoming a receptionist at a gym may have been dashed by his inability to breathe with his eyes closed, but he's so sweet, and the right home could really help him live out his final 60 or 70 years in peace and comfort. So Sandy's Animal Rescue.
And he's available now.
He's available now, yes.
Can't close his eyes and breathe. Oh, man. This is an interesting animal rescue. I mean, are the humans at this rescue, are they kept in those little kind of glass enclosures, or are they allowed to get out and run around a little bit?
Both. It's a hybrid system. They sleep in pens at night, but during the day, they're allowed to roam an open area and, just spray Axe body spray and read their text messages out loud.
Yeah, just only take calls via speaker.
Yeah.
I love that. And then when they're allowed to drive too, they also roll the windows down and take their calls through the speakers of the car too.
And they all smoke cigarettes.
I was gonna say jewels. The JUULs, not the jewels. Alex, you know what time it is now?
Let's do it, baby.
Ready? Here it is. I think I started it again.
It started again. There we go.
Nope, I started. Nope. Now we're done. Got it. Okay. Are we done?
That's a great piece of music, man.
It is. It's hard not to just get all sucked into that. Are you ready for the game?
Let's have at it.
All right. Just waiting for my Google Docs to load. I already have it up. The tab. That does that thing now. Google, if you're not in the tab, it quiets the tab and then it's got to reload. Okay. On this week's episode of Loki, we heard a lot about something called a loom, the temporal loom. And it got me thinking, you know what rhymes with loom? That's right. Jeff Goldblum. So it's time for another round of Jeff Goldblum's Got Jokes. The concept is simple. Super simple concept. If Jeff Goldblum did stand up, all he would do would just do puns centered around his name. For example, what do you call a Jeff Goldblum moving really fast? A Jeff Gold zoom.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm ready to play.
All right, I'm going to do these in a Jeff Goldblum voice. Are you ready?
All right.
Ow. Yeah. Yeah. What do you call a sad Jeff Goldblum?
I don't know.
Jeff Goldgloom.
Dang it. It's
What?
right there.
Number two.
Mhm.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Do you get? Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
When you cross a Jeff Goldblum with a Roomba.
A Jeff Gold vacuum?
Oh, that's pretty good, but it's we also would have accepted a Jeff Gold broom.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You ready for the next one?
Let's do it.
What? Yeah. Yeah. What do you get? Yeah. When you cross Jeff Goldblum, yeah, with a location often seen, yeah, in Indiana Jones movies. What would you get when you cross?
Jeff Gold Temple of Doom?
Oh my God, you're killing this, but that's not right. But I love that one too. I was going to go with a Jeff Gold tomb.
That's better. Brevity's the soul of wit, man. That's better.
I'm gonna read these because Jeff Goldblum. It's hard to get the joke. My Jeff Goldblum's great, but look at me. My Jeff Goldblum's great. Are you ready for the next one?
It is. Yeah.
What do you call a book penned by Jeff Goldblum? I have to change it now because they're gonna start getting kind of crazy. When do you call a book penned by Jeff Goldblum but released under his pseudonym Frank Moldstoom?
That'd be a Jeff Gold nom de plume.
Oh, very close. A Jeff nom de bloom.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay. I gotta get serious.
I love that you got nom de plume. I thought you would not get that one.
I knew it was nom de plume from the minute you said he's writing a book.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I gotta breathe this next one. What do you call a Jeff Goldblum who opens up a Jeff Gold tomb?
A Jeff Gold Tomb Raider?
Oh, it's a Jeff Gold exhume. This is like the dumbest. This is the dumbest that we've ever been. It's all thanks to me. I just want to say this is all thanks to me. This is how dumb we're getting.
And thank you. And thank you. And thank you.
All right, you ready for the last one?
Let's do it.
What do you call a Jeff Goldblum in the springtime?
A Jeff Gold Super Bloom?
No, just Jeff Goldblum.
I outthought myself on that one.
I know, it's just Jeff Goldblum. That's all. But it's spelled Bloom. It's not Bloom, like BLUM.
It's Bloom, not Blum.
Yeah. By the way, you know what he's been doing since the acting strike and the writer's strike? He's been doing more touring with his band.
Oh, good.
If you've not seen Jeff Goldblum perform, imagine it's exactly as what you would think it would be. He's I've not seen it, but my writing partner has. He apparently is just constantly looking out at the audience and kind of going like, can you believe this?
I love it.
Can you believe, like me, I'm playing piano right now. What? Like, oh,
you're watching me?
Oh my, yeah, look at this. Wow. Wild. Wild. Yeah.
From everything I've seen too, if you're a woman and you go see the show and ask to take a picture with him afterwards, he will take one with you with his hands very gently around your neck.
Yes. Oh crap. I don't know if I can recover from this. Let's go to the we're almost done here. We got to do our Hoopla recommendations, which I believe neither one of us is going to recommend something off of Hoopla.
No.
But what we normally do is Hoopla is you can enter, it's on it's an app, you can get it, you can go to the web version, you put in your library card, you can check out comic books you already told me you're not going to recommend it, and I'm not going to recommend one either. It's like, these are just going to be Kenny and Alex recommendations for the week. Go ahead, Alex. What's your recommendation?
My first one is to download Hoopla, support your local library.
Yes.
But my recommendation is outside of that because it is so heavy duty in the genre space that we appreciate. And it's Scavenger's Reign.
Yes, I have not started
on
it, but
Max.
it looks amazing.
It is incredible science fiction. It is mind sci-fi, body sci-fi. It's thinky, it's actiony. The animation style is so distinct and brilliant, and at the same time, it's super precise. It's very highly stylized and a little kind of bouncy. I don't know. It's got so much going for it. Highly recommend. I think it's the kind of genre offering that we should all try and get behind because it's great and it means they'll make more great stuff.
I love that. I'm going to check it out. I just added it to my list last night. Today is the first day. I've tested negative on Tuesday and then tested positive. Very, 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 very faint. I had to take a picture of it and zoom in to see that there was still a little bit of a line yesterday, but finally negative today. So I can actually be out and we can actually, my wife and I hugged for the first time in 10 days. But, I, while holed up in isolation, went down a anime rabbit hole, baby. I got myself some Crunchyroll, and we did a famous episode on this show on Knights of the Zodiac. Ooh. And the movie. I have gone hard on the original television show, and it's available on Crunchyroll. This is from 1987. It is called Saint Seiya Knights of the Zodiac. It is absolutely wonderful. It is everything you want from an 80s cartoon. It is there's sick guitar licks at every oh yeah, and they're boing when somebody takes out their sword and it's in slow motion, and there's a lot of the soundtrack is impeccable. It sounds like it could be a porno. It's just and all the fighting is it looks like you're watching a Double Dragon 2 video game. It's just so 80s wonderful, and I've just been pouring through it, and I absolutely love it, and I'm a full Knights of the Zodiac head now.
I love it.
The first 7 episodes is just this massive fight. All of the knights are fighting to get the golden cloth, and it's just one episode is this person fighting this person, and it's an entire episode.
Yeah, that's rad.
It's pretty wonderful. I love it. It's great. That's my recommendation. Alex, do we have one final read from our friends at the rescue?
Sandy's Pet Rescue. They find every kind of animal a forever home, including the following. They have Gibby, a donkey who escaped an urban farm. And Gibby would love a big yard. Pele is a reticulated millipede. And he's very exotic, so they will require a home visit before he will be placed with you. And then lastly, we have Ricky Rudolph Jr. He's one of our tougher cases, and it's gotten worse since he got his cell phone back. Proper guidance can help him onto a better path. He wants you to know that if you take him home, he, quote, won't do stolen valor no more.
RRJ, baby.
Yeah, Ricky Rudolph Jr.
Ricky Rudolph.
He's a scamp. He's a lovable scamp, our Ricky Rudolph Jr. Yeah, he got a hold of a camo shirt one time. He likes to tell people at the store that he served in Iran, and they say, what?
He took the sleeves off, too.
Well, he's got to show off his army tattoo. He wears a Marines camo shirt, and then it has an army tattoo. He's troubled. He needs help. He needs a forever home.
He needs a forever home. He really does. You know who does need a forever home? Our dogs. Alex, what did your dog think of Loki episode 4?
Yeah, you know what? At a certain point, Lupo looked at me and he said, "Man, I bet if I could see this in color, it would just blow my ever loving mind."
Yeah, for whatever. When you watch Werewolf by Night in color, it's just gonna look the same to him.
He's gonna be like, "Oh, great, thanks.
We're watching this again? Why are we watching this again?" And you're like, "Well, it's in color." And he's like,
I'll be in the car.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I watched this last night in my bedroom because, we had read that if you have a CPAP machine, you're basically just like blowing your COVID all over the room because it's all forced air. That's something you need to, yes, a nurse told me that. But my last night in the room, I watched it in the bedroom. The dog was sleeping outside. So she was, was nowhere near this. So I'm assuming she's still all out on Loki.
Probably. It sounds like her.
It does sound like her. Alex, we did it. Another great show in the books.
Once again, in the books.
Crushing. I've just checked and Twitch is decimated. We just destroyed the whole platform with this show. And I'm not mad about it.
Jeff is standing in the rubble of his once great streaming empire saying, what happened? And the answer is fan-controlled fandom.
Fandom. Boom. Where can the folks find you besides at Duke Midnight above?
That's just do that. And if you look there, I'm sure I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on.
Yeah, I got you on that. I got you on that this week, baby.
Get that hot referral code. I do this bit where I pretend that it's an app for making reservations at Yamashiro, and it's really cool.
That's funny. Yeah, you can find me at Kenny J. Don't go to that one. Go to Kenny G Stevenson. I am on TikTok and Twitch. Is that I'm in the process of navigating my threads and IG to that, but I am on Blue Sky as well. KennyGStevenson.bsky.social. They're hopefully they'll streamline that, but I am very active on that website. I like it a lot.
And of course, the G in Kenny G Stevenson stands for value.
That it does. You can find us here every week, every Friday at noon PST. 3 p.m. EST, 8 p.m. in London, 9 p.m. in Greece. We're here. We're broadcasting every week. Make sure you download the fan controlled app and get voting, get in those polls. There's going to be a race next week, fan controlled racing, NASCAR in Phoenix, November 4th. This is the time. If you're wondering when is the time to get involved with fan controlled sports, I just checked the clock and it's right now.
It's, there's an old Chinese proverb, if I may, that says the best time to get the fan controlled fandom app was 20 years ago, but the second best time is right now. And I think we should all take that to heart.
I love that old proverb, but thank you so much for watching. I got to figure out which one we have to come out with. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.